everybody, welcome to One Set. My name is Anthony Irvin.
What's up, everybody? How we doing?
This is my co-host, Jim Green. This has been a year in the making.
It's really been 23 years in the making. Who wants to tell it? You or me? I don't know. Let's do it. What's going on, everyone? How we doing? Happy Friday.
Friday.
By the time that you By the time that you guys get to
What's up, everybody?
We are recording on Tuesday night, February the 8th. It is about 11:15 p.m. This is Jim Green here, along with my co-host, my best friend, and my brother, Anthony Irvin. My man, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, brother? It's been a hell of a week, but glad we're able to gather again for another week to give you guys more content.
Oh. All right, so let's just
shall we start off? Just start off right out
with since the last time that we were on here with you guys, within 30 seconds of signing off, I got sick all over myself. I actually I got home from teaching last Tuesday and I didn't feel well. I laid down in bed, and then just hit me like a ton of bricks. And I don't get sick.
And we were contemplating possibly even, not doing the episode and just recording the next night too. But you felt okay going into it to be like, okay, I think I can just
muscle my way through it.
Yeah, muscle your way through it and just go for it. And I can definitely tell, throughout it you were having those moments of like, okay, all right, push through it. But then you have moments where you're like, okay, I'm feeling good. Then you your mood kind of changed throughout it. But it's not that we're even apologizing for anything, but it's just to the point where we have to just put the elephant out of the room to the fact that we had to have a short episode because unfortunately Jim got sick at the end, but thankfully you guys didn't have to see that.
No, Anthony got to see it right after he
I got to see everything.
And like I said, everyone, I don't get sick like that, hardly ever. So
right.
I caught some sort of a bug somewhere, and fortunately after that I didn't get sick again.
And it was not COVID. It was not COVID, and people. He's good.
I already had it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that because people are getting it more than once.
Yeah.
No, I got sick a little bit just before we started recording, and then we managed the 45 minutes or approximately, and it was terrible, man. Because it wasn't oh no, I think I'm going to be sick, and I ran out the room. It just happened, and I was like,
yeah.
I was mortified. Number one, because I was in bed, and it was all over my girlfriend's side of the bed, and right after you were like, I'm gonna let you go, man. Let me know. Let me know. Yeah, let me know when you're feeling better. And she was just getting home from work within minutes after. She came in and was like, "Are you all right?" And I was like,
"Right."
I was like, "Don't be upset. I just got sick all over the bed." And she was like, "You look terrible." And I was like, "I don't feel great."
No.
I was shaking. I felt.
Yeah.
I mean, for those of you that are sick on a regular basis, I commend you. I don't know how you do it, because when I get sick, I'm out. I'm knocked out. I'm done. So yeah, that was last Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, I had a stomach bug earlier at the last little bit of last year, and I haven't had stomach bugs like that since I was in like middle school, high school, where it would take me out for like a
Right.
week. I remember being out of school for a week because,
Mm-hmm.
I would be, throwing up the first couple days, and then you would stop, but then you would have to take about another 2-3 days to get your energy back from just vomiting up anything and everything in your whole body, and then trying to keep the fluids and the and everything back in your body. It's just like a whole process. But I haven't felt that bad in forever, like in not that we're talking about sickness a lot in this episode, but
Right.
one night it was just happened all on the one night. I woke up and just started feeling a little off, and just took a little something and just to relieve, and then I started feeling like, oh, okay, this isn't something that's just relieving it. And then maybe an hour later, bam, started getting sick,
Yeah.
and didn't go to work. And it happened on a Friday. I didn't start feeling good until like Sunday morning, and I was still even
Not
like
100%.
not
Yeah.
100%, but I was at least able to go back to work on Monday, but still kind of maybe 80-90%. But it's just like when like you said, I mean, I don't get too sick anymore, but I condemn people that are constantly sick. It's I can only imagine.
Yeah. I mean, I had to I was awake at like 6:30 in the morning when like last Wednesday, and I don't like to call out of work, especially uh like in my field. Um like for a dance teacher to call out, it's not always easy to find the coverage, right?
Yeah,
Because it's like
right.
you gotta outsource like and for me, because I teach like pretty far from home, like number one, my circle of people that I would call upon, they teach all the time too. So like they're not exactly available, but also they're they're either local or they're teaching super super far where it's like they're like for me on Wednesdays, anywhere from 45 to an hour and some change north. And
Uh-huh.
it's like I don't know people up there like that. Like I don't have a circle uh
Yeah.
in that region. So when like to call out of work is just kind of like I feel bad pitting it on like the studio director to get my classes covered, because typically it's like if you got to call out, you got to be able to provide backup. But when you're not from the area and you don't know anybody, like what do you do?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So I don't like to call out because I teach like so far from my local area that I
Right.
don't have resources in those areas to be able to
To
call
be able to
upon.
cover.
So
Yeah.
right, right. So it puts me at a little bit of a disadvantage where in the event that I need to call out, like and like I said, I don't like to call out in general, and I also don't get sick often.
Mhm.
So I don't need to call out due to illness so much. But like last Wednesday, I was like, here's the thing with COVID, it's like if you're sick, stay home, right? Like so that's why last Wednesday morning I called out from my studio that I teach at on Wednesdays. I was like, I hate to do this to you, but like I don't, and especially because I was getting sick so spontaneously, like
Uh-huh.
and abruptly, I couldn't be in the front of the classroom and like, okay, kids, and like out of nowhere,
Yeah.
like not doing that, and I didn't want to freak any of them out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So I mean,
especially with everything going on. I mean, yeah, especially having those things. Yeah, not something that you would want to be involved in.
right, and so um, last Wednesday, I tried to take the day to like recuperate, um, and then last Thursday I was back down in Baltimore teaching. um, And then Friday,
Mm-hmm.
uh, was it Friday? Yay! I'm pretty sure it was Friday. Thursday night, I came back from Baltimore. My buddy from Nebraska was in town,
Yes.
who I hadn't gotten to see in like 6 years. So a group of us had a little reunion thing. That was really fun. That was a
Yeah.
lot of fun. We had a
Yeah,
we had
I
a good
saw
time.
the post pictures from that. That was cool to see. He came home and had a chance to see everybody.
Yeah, and then yeah, it was. God, my days are just running together. Yeah, Friday got to see the new Jackass movie.
Did you?
I did, yeah. And I gotta say, um,
Was it one
yeah,
of the best Jackass movies you've seen?
I mean, okay, so
Like where would
here's
you,
the
I'm
thing.
not sure if you've seen all the Jackass movies, but where would you possibly, out of your thing, where would you rank this movie out of the ones that they've had?
I wouldn't see, and this is hard, okay, and we'll get into this a little bit.
I guess without trying to put too many spoilers out there, because and if we do have any
Yeah,
spoilers, we'll put like a
I
text saying spoiler coming up.
yeah, and it's it's hard to say just because um I you and me even grew up with Bam, right?
Yeah,
And I understand him being removed and like from the filming and everything and
right.
everything that was going on behind the scenes with that. That's their business, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's
But
unfortunate, but you kind of
but
understand it. But yeah, I mean, they've had their reasons, just like anything.
yeah, and I think growing up and him being like one of the pivotal parts of the production,
Hmm.
it was weird not seeing him. Um,
Yeah,
I still thoroughly enjoyed the movie. Um,
that's the thing too. Like, do you you answered the question that like, would the movie still be the same without him? So I mean, you said you thoroughly still thought it was a good movie, even though Bam was not one of the featured people in there. So it's not
y-
like they didn't
right.
need him. It just would have been an extra thing if he wasn't there, but it really didn't take away like, oh, the film's gonna not be as good. I mean, it seemed like it was
No,
still a good film, but it was just
it,
unfortunate he wasn't in it.
right. And I'm just saying, like, like you and I growing up were, well, I think we were in middle school and high school when Jackass first started, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the guys literally were taping at Westchester University. A
Hmm.
lot of their stuff, it just
Oh yeah.
started right around Westchester University and everything, and it just took off. I mean, Bam was a very impactful dude in the skating community back then. I mean, you and me did skateboarding, and I did skateboarding and rollerblading. Uh, but just we went to Boards and Blades
Boards and
uh,
blades. Yeah.
back there, and it was cool to kind of see him just come in and just skate, and everybody would just be crowding around him, and he wouldn't really mind skating with everybody. He wasn't as famous at that point, so I mean, he was just around the local people, so we didn't really take him as like you've seen him once, you've seen him more times. So every time you've seen him, it was just more like, oh, okay, Bam's here, cool. But like for a person that may not have seen him as many, you would be like, oh crap, that's Bam. Like, yeah, he skates here a lot, you know. But
Yeah.
it was cool
Yeah.
to kind of see like when you would have those times and he would come in and start skating, and you would be skating and kind of just watch him, and so those were cool times.
Yeah. I mean, even oh, when we were skater boys, remember?
We were a skater boy.
The theater boy.
Boys.
But yeah, even just getting my truck like on my board signed by Bam and him signing Bam 98, like to think that that was 24 years ago.
Yeah. That's
But yeah,
crazy.
like you said, he wasn't like he didn't reach that level of stardom yet. But
Yeah.
he just seemed like a humble, like good dude, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I feel like, you know, bad for him. I'm not playing like the pity party or anything, but like
Yeah.
I wish that he was a part of the movie, but I also
Right.
understand why he wasn't, right? But
Uh-huh.
I will say it's hard because it's the only Jackass movie that I saw like in the theater, and I saw it like
Uh-huh.
on the night on opening weekend for it. Um,
Yeah. Did I see one? I think I saw one of the Jackasses prior to this one in theaters. I forget which one. I think it wasn't 3D. It was one of the ones before that. I think it was in theaters. And I think that was the first Jackass movie that I saw in theaters. And that was wild because everybody's
yeah.
just, either laughing, screaming, all different types of reactions. And it just made the movie that much more funnier just watching it in real time with so many people reacting to all the stunts and everything. So
Yeah,
it was
I
fun.
mean, it it was kind of surreal because like there were three of us watching it, and then there was like a couple that were like a few rows behind us, and then there was a couple like over yonder, and
Uh-huh.
then the rest of the theater was empty. And I
Wow.
don't know if that was like where we went to the movies like isn't like a mega popular, like because we went up to the IMAX up in
Okay.
King of Prussia, but that's only
Nice.
because um her brother had just gotten done work and he was up that way. So that's why we went up and met
Uh-huh.
him up there. Because normally we go somewhere more local,
Yeah.
and the theater's usually like slammed on for any movie on an opening night. Especially
Yeah.
like Spider-Man No Way Home was like packed.
When we all
It,
saw Infinity War and
Infinity War
Endgame,
and Endgame
thing was packed.
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 But
But
yeah, but that
it was awesome though, because in Infinity War and Endgame were the two bigger Marvel movies that I watched in the theater because of you guys. Like you guys got me into really watching the series and stuff. I had to go through a lot
right
of different movies and everything, but just seeing the community of Marvel
culmination.
people of just it was insane. And I watched like the reaction videos on YouTube, and I'm like, yeah, I was there like one of those nights when those certain big impactful moments came when in was it Infinity War? I think it was Endgame when Captain Mary he gets the Thor's thing,
I
and the
yeah the
Avengers assemble, everybody shout. Oh my god, that was a crazy moment,
dude
like chills,
dude
man.
dude yeah, and I mean I think you and I are all, I mean I might be like slightly more into like that kind of stuff, but like we're not like super nerd in
No,
like
I'm really
into it
not.
like our other friends are like that
Yeah,
they're like mega into it, and that's great. I just
yeah,
you and I have being like kind of just like, all right, we're just casual fans. Like
yeah.
it
I would say
was
definitely like more of a casual. Yeah,
it was that epic though. No, when we were in the
yeah.
theater,
It was definitely I would definitely would have not gotten the same impact if I saw it on the TV for the first time. And you got to
yeah,
definitely watch that in a theater to get like the full 360 and
effect,
getting with the
yeah,
audience. That was awesome.
yeah.
because I was more of like a DC guy, being with Batman. Batman was,
Batman.
obviously my number one dude growing up. So I wasn't really on the Marvel side. I was more of the DC. But again, I didn't read comics. I was just more Batman, and I didn't associate myself like, oh, I only watch DC. I just like Batman. So
Yeah.
I just didn't. I
Sure.
really didn't associate myself with either DC or Marvel. It was just more of Batman, Batman, Batman. Maybe a little bit of Spider-Man here and there, but Batman was my guy. Yeah,
Right.
but so it was easy for me to kind of link into watching Marvel movies because I am into like the superhero gimmick and everything, but like you said, we're not. We're more of the casual fans. Like we can appreciate the movies, but we're not going to go full like, oh, I'm going to Comic-Con, I'm going to a whole here. And I mean, I would love to go to a Comic-Con. I think they're like a cool. I would be a cool experience, but I'm not gonna be the one like, oh, I'm gonna go to the next one and this and that and that and that. But yeah, I think it would be a cool experience
for sure. Do you know about Morbius or no?
The name sounds familiar.
So Jared Leto is joining the Marvel universe, and he's playing. He's basically like this. I guess he's like a vampire kind of.
Okay.
But it's interesting because it's like I can't explain it. I'll have to send it to you if you're not if you're not familiar with it. I'll just send it to you and
all right,
let you take a look at it. But it's just weird because it's based kind of around bats. And
okay.
Michael Keaton's in the movie.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
it's kind of
And so,
weird that it's not weird, but it's kind of interesting that they did that.
right. And speaking of Michael Keaton, I am mega stoked for that Flash movie to come out. That since Michael Keaton is reprising his role, when I saw those trailers, super stoked. So that will probably be one that I mean, I'm not all for going to a theater right now with everything. I mean, but I think I would probably have to break my thing for that one almost. Possibly because I would that's something I would want to have to see in a theater.
Right.
You know,
well, there's the new Batman movie. Did we talk about that yet?
We talked about it for
I feel like we
a
mentioned
little bit.
it for like a second on
We may have
one of the previous episodes.
We thought that we were watching a cool trailer that had the Joker in there, and then we found out that it was a fan made thing, and I'm like, you effing CBs. CB Radio Hotline.
These trolls ain't loyal. Right?
No way. And dude, that I would have been, and like I told you weeks ago after we were talking about it, I haven't been sold on this new Batman movie right now, and I'm not, and it has nothing to do with the guy who's playing it. It's just I haven't invested. I guess I just haven't invested too much time with the backstory, and I know they're going a different way with the Batman character, and I'm just not sold on it yet. But when I saw that video, and then I saw at the end where they had the Joker's silhouette and hit like a little thing, I'm like,
you lost
that just
it.
got me. I was like, that got me into it. But then when I saw the fan, then when I saw this thing's fan made, I'm like, all right, I'm out.
I'm out.
I'm out. I was sold for a good 2 minutes. I'm like, all right, I got to see this movie. If that's what they're going for, and we get like, if that's a thing that's bracing off the Joker movie, and then it's like going into separate movies where and I'm like, okay, now I'm into it. But then when I saw it was a fake, I'm like, all right, I'm out again. Now I'm back to ground zero where I'm like, okay, I got to invest more time to probably do a little more YouTube searching and, not necessarily make myself be interested, but like give myself a reason, like, why should I invest my time to really want to, what's making this movie giving me to really want to watch it.
Yeah. So one of the I follow this one YouTube channel. It's called Emergency Awesome, and he breaks out, like, I've been following him on well, like, a lot of the stuff, honestly.
Uh-huh.
Because he just knows, like, he's that invested. I forget what the guy's name is, but so he talks about how Joker, Joaquin Phoenix Joker,
Uh-huh.
that movie was set in like the early 80s,
Right.
but the new Batman that's coming out is like from like 5 years ago. So in order for Joaquin Phoenix Joker to be tied in, um he would be like a 70-year-old Joker in a sense, because he's
True.
like, Joaquin Phoenix is like 30 to 40 years old in,
Yeah. So they'd have to
like,
do a little
that
bit of
Joker boot. And yeah, Bruce Wayne is a child
yeah.
in
So
that.
the
So
timelines wouldn't
the
kind of
the
match up.
timeline doesn't make sense for Joaquin
Yeah.
Phoenix's Joker to tie into the modern day Batman.
Right. Yeah. So yeah,
Unfortunately.
timelines wouldn't necessarily make sense. They wouldn't match up. So
Right.
I would rather it kind of stay that way, because I mean, then you have people like, oh well, the timeline doesn't make sense. Why would you do that? Blah blah blah. Well, it's a movie. That's why it's called a movie.
Right. Right. Well, they're definitely signed on for the Joker sequel.
Yes.
It's just a matter of what direction they take it. I think that they're probably going to wind up going somewhere with the Harley Quinn stuff. Like, you're not going to get Batman involved because he's still a kid, right? Like, you're not getting
Yeah.
Batman yet because
Right.
Bruce Wayne is still like 12 or 13 years old. He's nowhere
Yeah.
near being Batman yet.
He hasn't fallen into that well yet.
Right. with Samira, right? From The Ring.
Right. Bruce.
Hey, Bruce, you down there?
So we didn't get to have a drink of the week last week. I mean, regardless, we didn't really have the abilities to really drink because you weren't feeling too well. But what are you drinking this week, buddy?
Oh man. Okay. So yeah, last week I had some Sprite that I was sipping on, and and then I took a sip of it after we stopped recording. I took a sip, and then it was everywhere. So
it made me think, before you get, I don't want to interrupt you, but it made me think, because I've been on a big Wolf of Wall Street movie thing. I've seen it so many times in the last couple of months, but it reminds me of just saying, like, well, I just had a little bit of Sprite, and then it made me think of the part where the guy's looking at Leonardo DiCaprio. He's like, he's not believing that he's not drinking, but
right.
he's like, oh, so you mean and he's drinking non-alcoholic beer, and he's like, but it can still get you messed up, right? He's like, there's no alcohol. He's like, but if you have about 6, 7 of it, it'll get you messed up, right? He's like, no, there's no alcohol.
That's not how that works.
It's just Sprite. Yeah, but if you have about 6 or 7 of them, it'll get you messed up, right? Like, no, it's soda. Like, there's no alcohol. I don't get it.
Wolf of Wall Street. I feel like I saw that once, but
I'm loving that movie right now.
Ago.
Like, I don't know. I've been so inspired by that movie. I mean, you probably, for the sake of it, you probably shouldn't be inspired because it's about a stockbroker being like doing like fraud. But the fact that taking like a concept and then being able to be like, okay, we're going to manipulate the system, and then you end up making millions. But it kind of shows you that once you get on the radar and you get to a certain level of like fame, everybody's looking at you, and then you can get into the wrong hands, and then that's when your whole thing starts tearing down. Because once he started really getting into the public eye of what he was doing, that's when the FBI really started getting into him and like, okay, he's like clocking in this amount of money every week, and you know, how are these guys doing that? And then, you know, it always takes that one little time where you're just like, you make that one little slip up and then everything starts falling over, you know, but it's an awesome movie. I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio is an amazing actor. I'm still surprised he didn't get anything for that movie, but he's a great actor.
By the way, Sky Vodka with blackberry apple mommy's water, aka
mommy's water,
the carbonated flavored waters that we use rather than soda as our mixer, and healthier alternative,
healthier,
right? Yeah.
I'm a healthier kind of drunk.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the one.
How about you, man? What you got?
I'm keeping it simple tonight. I had a couple. I think last two I had some liquor, but this week I'm just keeping it simple with a little bit of Corona Light, the beer, not the Omicron,
not the vid.
This is Omicron free. So yeah,
nice. Yeah, I had some Corona
Cheers
Lights.
To you, buddy.
Cheers, bud. Yeah.
And just like anything, cheers to. Sorry, what are you saying? Sorry.
Go for it. Oh, I was just gonna say I had some Corona Lights on Thursday night with my buddy that was in town. It was like really refreshing, like because I haven't really drank beer much lately.
Yeah, I unfortunately don't have a lime with this. I mean, obviously, I can still usually drink it with or without, but it obviously with a lime is so much better. But unfortunately, didn't have a lime for it tonight.
All good. But, yeah, you were saying, go ahead.
No, just trying to throw a little plug in there, but cheers to everybody who's watching. If you guys have made it this far, you guys are listening to One Set. My name is Anthony Irvin, and I'm here with my co-host Jim Green, aka Green Monster, and me being Magic. So want to thank you guys for continuing the support. You guys can follow us on Facebook and Instagram, YouTube, at One Set Pod, the number one, by the way, One Set Pod. And make sure you guys are checking us out also on the podcast streaming platforms of Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts. Give us a couple spins there and follow us. Give us a rating and a review. It only helps us grow in the charts. And for the amount of listeners that we keep on growing, we can start doing some ads here and start making a little bit of quiche. For the podcast, a little bit of quiche for the podcast too. And I mean, we were even thinking off air. I think one of the weeks that we would love to start doing our own type of ads or sponsors for local people. So if you have a local business or something that you would want us to promote for you guys, maybe that's something we can do weekly, like, give a little shout out to a local business and, maybe give some type of incentive away for them or, so if you guys are hearing this, you guys got something you would want to promote, either a local small business or something, hit us up, give us an email in this description. You can go to the number one setpod@gmail.com. So feel free to hit us up.
And let's not forget about our giveaway.
That is true. Yeah, we're still doing the giveaway. We still have the giveaway of people filling out your one set list. We had a little description of that. We'll definitely be posting a picture of that. We haven't yet. It's just been a crazy little couple weeks for us. So we apologize for not giving more of the explanation for that. But essentially, for a short term of the explanation of that, you guys want to do your multiplication times tables starting from 1 times 1 all the way to 12 times 12. Write it out on a sheet of paper and send it to us. The best person that has either the best handwriting or looks the best, and we'll put it in a hat, draw a name out of the hat, and you guys will be able to win. One lucky winner will be able to win a $50 Visa gift card from you boys, the One Set Dudes. So once we get some good amount of people with that, we will be picking the winner on air. So we'll be able to do that on air, and maybe we might go live and do it. You never know. So might have some ideas on that too. Maybe we'll do it. We'll do a live stream, and we'll pick the winners or winner.
Yeah, guys, and as creators, get creative with it.
Yeah,
send us a picture. I'm looking for something like a little bit more unconventional. Like if you write it out on paper, that's kind of boring, right? So get clever
it's
with your submission, right? So
yeah.
if you can crack the code to make it fun, your name will be entered in for the drawing. If you're going to send us your one set on a piece of paper, we're going to be like, that's cool, but you messed up 7 times 6 probably.
Yeah, you got to get them right first. You got to get all the multiplications right. If they're wrong, you can't. You got to make sure they're right.
Yeah, you're not entered for the chance to win $50.
No, people are going to go to Google. What's 1 times 1? What's 1 times 2? Siri, help me out, please.
Come on, Siri.
I can't help you anymore.
Oh man.
Dude, Super Bowl this week.
Super Bowl. That's right. We got to talk about that.
We have to finally get our pick out there, man. We've been sitting on it for a week, and we told you guys we were gonna give you guys our answer. We were 50-50 on the Rams and the Bengals. I think all in all it's gonna be a great game. I think the Bengals have had a pretty impactful season. Rams have been doing pretty well, and it's a picture perfect game. I mean, it's unfortunate you're not going to see the big names in there, but I kind of like it. I mean, you're seeing new faces in the Super Bowl, and that's what I like. That you're definitely seeing a change in the league where you're seeing new faces, new teams. So this is definitely going to be a Super Bowl to remember. I have a feeling.
Yeah, we're in that transition phase right now, right?
Yeah, where I definitely feel. Yeah. Mm-hmm, absolutely.
All the big wigs that were running shop for the last 10, 15 years are like they're done, or they're very much on their way out.
Ben's gone, Brady's gone. I mean, Rodgers is still in there. We still got Russell in there, but Rodgers is probably on his way out too. Russell's on the downhill. We just had Drew Brees lead the league last year or the year before, or was it last year? Yeah, I think it was last year. It
was last year, and I think Peyton Manning was 2 to 3 years ago, right?
So we had a lot of the big guys within these last 2, 3, 4 years leave us. So, but before, I mean, we could touch a little bit on Tom Brady. I mean, love him or hate him, GOAT status is definitely like engaged for that dude. You gotta give him a GOAT status for what he's achieved in his career. I mean, we're glad that we were able to defeat him in a Super Bowl, because not many people can say that they defeated Tom Brady in a Super Bowl other than us and the Giants, and I mean the closer ones. I mean, there's others, but to know that we beat the GOAT in the Super Bowl will definitely go down in Philly history, obviously. But you can't deny the fact that this guy has a GOAT status attached to his name forever. I mean, the guy is incredible.
It's one of those things where like your casual audience, they don't look at the guy and say, "Ah, he sucks. He's no good."
Yeah.
So when you eliminate that, because people will look at Aaron Rodgers and say, "Dude's trash."
Yeah.
Some people just will. They'll be like,
Right.
he, you know, even if he is really good, people will still dog him.
Oh yeah, of course.
People only dog Brady because of how great that he really is.
Oh
And
yeah.
they're just salty about it.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. I mean, like just like anything, if you don't have haters, you're definitely not doing something. Well, if you have haters, you're doing something right.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's even like LeBron. People are gonna be like, "Oh,
Yeah.
LeBron's trash," and it's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
The dude's
That's
great.
another
Okay,
another
you can't
podcast for
deny
me.
it.
But yeah, he's definitely great. I just love when people are like, he's better than Jordan. I'm like, no, he's not. No, he's not. Stop. No, he's not.
Mhm.
That's another podcast for me. But he's definitely going to go down as one of the bigger basketball players. Definitely going to be one of the greatest. Uh, but yeah, Tom Brady. Let's do Tom Brady because that's another.
Well,
That the LeBron thing is a definitely thing. Like I can go on for hours about. But
that's fine. I mean, you can't say that he's bad,
yeah,
right?
and,
And
and I
I
think
think
just the social media aspect with him too is like, he with a lot of professional athletes, they take the social media now to express a lot of themselves, where back in Jordan's day they didn't have social media to really, you just saw them what they looked like on the court, and that's what you saw. You didn't see a lot of their personal lives unless it was put out on the news. I mean, when you look at Jordan, you obviously think, oh, he was a gambler. Well, I mean, yeah, he was. I mean, he liked to gamble money, he liked to win, and he gambled. He did gamble a lot. Uh, but like LeBron with his thing is like he's very outspoken with what he believes in, which is not a problem. But he likes to dip his finger into a lot of different hats, and I think that's where he gets in trouble with a lot of people. Is like, you get the and this can go on. You can talk the same thing with the Colin Kaepernick thing too, but you know. A lot of people are like they'll say like, oh well, professional athletes should just stick with playing sports and not talk about this or that. And well, you got to think at the end of the day, they're people just like you and me.
yeah.
They play professional sports for a living, but at the end of the day, they have just the same amount of rights as you and me. They have every right to talk about what they feel. But when you're, it's another thing too. When you're using a platform to influence people, that's a different story.
Yeah, it's a very like fine line, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I think even people like you and me, like I'm not out here advocating for anything. I'm not out here saying or using social media to
right,
say you need to do this or
right,
you should believe in this because I'm
uh huh,
very much a to each their own kind of
yeah,
person, right? And I think that that's where people of higher power, like LeBron,
uh huh,
um, he uses his fame to his advantage to try to, I guess, influence, right?
yeah.
And and and
And
and,
there's
and
good
that's
things and bad things about it, just like anything. I mean, you can when you have a platform, you can
sure,
use it to for good things and bad. I mean, not necessarily bad things, but like you can use it to your advantage in different types of ways. That's probably the better way to say it. When you have a platform, you can use it to influence people in different ways, whether it be good
right,
or not so good things. But uh, but yeah, I mean, if LeBron was a regular person like you and me, he obviously wouldn't be getting half the stuff publicized as what he would. But since he has his name attached to it and who he is, I mean, a lot more people know who he is, and that's he can get his opinions out a lot more.
right. I mean, and that's like I was um I was talking with my buddy that we were talking about
Uh-huh.
off air right before we started.
Yeah.
And I was like, we were having the conversation about like, oh, do you think that this is like not okay that I'm like, oh, it's 11:58 p.m. and I'm publishing that I'm having a beverage, and he's like, people might frown at that if you
Uh-huh.
and I'm just like, okay. But here's the thing. For any parent, any student of mine that watches this and sees me doing this, that's exactly what I'm trying to say is I'm not trying to invoke a specific opinion on you like you need to do this or you need to think
Right.
this way. Think independently. Think however you want.
Right.
And
We're not
and
on
and and,
here
and
with
that,
drinks saying like, oh, you should drink this or you should drink that, or
no,
it's
it's
just more
just
we're casually drinking. We just
yeah,
like to have a drink when we talk.
that's it. I mean,
Disclaimer.
yeah, cancel culture. Have at me. So yeah, cheers to that.
Yeah. So we went a little bit of a tangent, but
No, but I was saying like when you're talking about people of higher power
yeah.
and using social media because we were talking about Michael Jordan didn't have that.
Yeah.
Right? LeBron uses it and he's like invoking specific opinions and I don't believe in that at all. Like if I was someone on that higher level of power, I'd be like think however you want.
Right.
Like I'm not out here trying to change your mind.
Yeah.
I'm all for independent thinking. That's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with voicing your own opinion, but when it comes to voicing your opinion and trying to influence people on your opinion to try to tell people you should take my opinion and run with it, that's where it
Politics.
gets yeah, that's where it
It's
gets
politics.
sour. That's where it gets
Yep.
sour.
Yep.
If you're out there just saying, hey, this is what I feel about it, then that's not really frowned upon these days. But when you're trying, excuse me, when you're trying to you know sway people one way or the other, that's when you get the whole people talking of like, well, you can we can talk about that all the time. But
It's controversy, right?
yeah, it's the world we live in today.
Sure is.
But with that, we got a little bit of tangent, but Bengals and Rams. Who do you got Sunday winning? Who do you got
Cincy.
winning Sunday all out?
I am going with Cincinnati. I just I don't know why I like the Rams. Don't get me wrong, and they have the home field advantage. I just it's in my gut. I keep as much as I initially was like telling myself it's going to be the Rams. It's going to be the Rams. I feel like
Yeah,
I feel like the Bengals are just going to pull it off in the end.
yeah. I think they got a good offense that can hopefully, withstand the Rams defense. And, I think everybody, just like anything, I think everybody likes a good underdog story. So I think a lot of people are going to be banking on the Bengals because they haven't won or even been in this position in forever. So I think I'm going to go with the Bengals too. I think I'm going to go with the odd of betting on the Bengals and hopefully they pull out this win. I think just all in all, it's going to be a great game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I don't think we're going to get too much of a gap between. We might get like, oh, okay, at one point it might be 7-17, and then it gets closer, and then one person might push away and come back. But I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I don't think you're going to see a big gain between two of the teams. I think it's going to come down to the fourth quarter. I mean, if we do have an overtime, hopefully, I mean, I don't think they're going to change the rules this season. But I think definitely for sure it's going to be a good game. I think people are going to get their money's worth.
Yeah, I was just looking up what the current odds look like. It says kickoff is set for 6:30. Los Angeles
Yeah.
is a 4.5 point favorite, and
Okay.
the over under for total points scored is 48.5
Hmm.
in the latest Super Bowl 56 odds from Caesars Sportsbook. So that's
Okay.
just
That's pretty
that.
accurate. At least it's a good source to go off of.
It's a great source.
It's a great source.
So, 4.5 points. Yeah, that's still a good game, right? Like,
Yeah.
I forget what the odds were for the Eagles to win when we beat the Patriots.
I don't know, but it was. I mean,
Pardon
it
me.
was definitely some decent odds, but I don't think a lot of people thought we were going to pull it off. I think we had a lot of people at the last minute, kind of going to our side because it was more of like a heroic season that Carson Wentz was having an MVP season, and then he tore his ACL and one I don't that injury I think it just killed his whole career. Obviously, I feel bad for the kid, but knee injuries for a quarterback are very very hard to come back from. You're definitely not as mobile as you once were from a knee injury. But and then Foles comes in, saves the day, takes us in. Once Wentz got hurt, I was like, that's our season. Because every time we have a decent season, something like that happens. And I'm like, yep, that's the end of the season. I did not expect Foles to come in there and, start winning some games and then winning the first playoff. I'm like, okay, he's impressed me, but that's one playoff. We'll see what happens in the second. We win the Vikings game, and I'm like, we're in the conference game. Then we beat who did we? Was that the Bears game? That was the second. That was the year after we the
That
double
was
doink.
after we won where the double doink. Yeah.
The double doink was the year after the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And then we lost to the
Dude,
Saints. I
that
forget who we beat in the conference game to go beat the Patriots. I forget the conference. I
Vikings.
forget. It was the Vikings. That's right.
It was the Vikings. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah,
because that was wild because
yeah,
I had rehearsal that night and my entire ride home was just like, oh my God, the Eagles are just running wild on the Vikings. And then I got home and I got to see the rest of. I was like, I thought that it was gonna be a close call, and we just trounced them.
Yeah, I mean our defense and offense, like everything was in sync. And I was in AC that night. I was over at the Chicken Pizza and we were watching the game, and we were just like, "Holy crap, this is like really happening!" And then we came into the Super Bowl, and you know, I didn't even know what to think because I was like, if we win this, Broad Street's going to be a hell of a time. I unfortunately didn't get to go to Broad Street for the parade. Did you go to the parade?
I went to the parade. Yeah,
you did go to the parade. Yeah, I unfortunately didn't, but I saw it on TV.
It was freezing. It was so cold.
I remember it being cold that day.
I just was like, I had to question like my life purpose because no, but honestly, at that time, I just was not a huge football fan. So I felt like I was just going because I was like, it feels like sacrilege if I don't go because I was like available to go.
Right.
Did you have work?
I did have work, yeah.
Yeah. So that's
but we ended
different.
up turning on the TV at work and we were watching the parade at like in our conference room. So
and I'm
we
sure
had
you were
on everything.
all warm and toasty, and I'm out there freezing my toes off.
Yeah, I
dude,
was pretty warm.
but dude,
And then we're watching why can't I think of his name? The center, Jason Kelsey. We were watching Jason Kelsey's speech,
I
and
was just going to talk about that.
Dude, they they didn't catch the sensor in time, and it was like he's like, and I'm like, yep, that's why they should have had a 5-second delay on there.
Yeah, it's like Kid Rock on Monday Night Raw, right?
Right. They didn't even do it with Chase Utley that year either, because he got the F word out there live on air too, and then they did the censor. Like, I mean, you guys didn't learn from the Phillies that you probably should have been running on a 5-10 second delay. Like, these dudes are hopped up on beer, and he's literally in a mummer's costume. You don't think this dude's gonna wild out?
Well,
oh my god.
I think too, they're like, in their heads, they're probably just like, you know what? No. Like, find me and I'll just pay it.
Yeah.
And I have the money. And it's more so like I feel like it's like a bite on freedom of speech. Like, you should be able to you should be allowed to just speak freely, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But
you should. But
spoken
FCCB.
FCCB, yeah. These Super Bowl odds, it looks like, from New England Patriots versus the Philadelphia Eagles, January 21st, 2018. It looks like New England -5. Now, I don't know. Like, I don't know, for being a math guy.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not too big on those type of betting odds to know what are good odds, what are not good odds, and I haven't bet on football in that type of way. I'm usually like on FanDuel. I'll be like, I'll throw some money into a game and do it that way. But I've never really bet on the games of like, okay, I'll take the over, or I'll take the spread. But I never really bet on those because I don't really understand too much of the betting that way.
Right. So if you're listening in and you want to like school us, because I have asked friends of mine to try to explain betting
Yeah.
odds to me.
Yeah.
You know how to get a hold of us. We are at the number one setpod@gmail.com, and maybe you can email in and let us know, hey, and you can speak as freely as you want. We're doing our best to censor ourselves so that we're not Anthony over here curses like a sailor.
Come on.
Chimone.
Come on.
Yeah, when Bill Burr reads his freaking when his fans email him and the nicknames that he gives them. So if you guys have any fun nicknames for us,
we can start reading them.
We'll start reading them out loud on air, unless if they're vulgar, then we can't, especially because your boy over here teaches kids. So and in case if they're tuning in, I have to be professional sometimes. Sorry, kids.
Yeah, if we ever get to those things, we'll have to have a censored and uncensored centered. We haven't had one of these in a while. We haven't had one of those in a while. But we'll have there's another one. Jeez. We'll have to have Jesus. There's 2 or 3 for the last 2-3 episodes we've had. Jesus.
Yeah, we're just making up because we didn't have any of that last episode. Right?
Tip of the tongue, top of the lips. What was I even talking about? Don't even remember what I was talking about. We have to have a censored and uncensored version eventually if we start getting to that point. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I am completely open to that. The only thing that I would do is
Not that we're not really too vulgar to ourselves, but it'd be
I
kind
mean,
of we try to be good with censoring ourselves because, you know, like I said, we do have uh youngins that do sometimes tune in, so we want to be, you know, appropriate to, you know, censor ourselves as much as we can, but
of course.
uh we want to be able to have that open freedom of speech to
Yeah.
our older folks as well,
So that
because, you know.
so that came off of the Jason Kelsey conversation we were just having, right?
Yeah.
Because they they mi-
They
they
missed
missed the
it.
blips. Yeah.
They totally missed it.
So, pardon me. I think pardon me. Sorry for that. I think that if we ever get to that Patreon level where people want to sign up to catch our um uncensored
Yeah.
uh chats,
Patreon, and I
then
think Anchor does subscription type things too, so we can always do either one of those
we'll
if we
figure it
ever
out.
got to that point. Yeah.
I just gotta I think the biggest thing is um it's gonna have to be on some sort of like sign up slash subscription just to make sure that um I don't have students of mine that are like signing on to that. Like I just
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, when
yeah,
when we have the subscriptions and then the younger kids
that
subscribe to it.
that or any of my bosses like
Oh yeah.
oh, and I'm great with all of my bosses.
Hmm.
Like they're all really great human beings. Like I feel like pretty comfortable with all of them. That I could openly just like share
And it's good to
things in
have
my
those type of
life.
it's good to have those type of relationships with your, you know, multiple bosses, because I mean, you know, it's your bread and butter where you're coming from. So having good
Right.
relationships, and then they're able to tell, you know, other people, hey, I got this guy that works for my studio. If you ever need somebody that needs to, you know, jump in for you, I could definitely recommend them. You know, and
Right.
you know that's how it just spreads for you. So
Yeah. Uh quick shout out to my mom, case and both of my moms. Mama Irv, Mama
Mama
Green.
Irv and Mama Green,
Uh
we love you
I'm
guys.
specifically talking about my mom because when I record on the green backdrop, you know, the double light switch over here,
Hmm.
that my mom's like, and it'd be nice if that was like out of the way. I'm like, okay, that's not
Thanks,
like the
Ma.
ultimate priority. Thanks, Ma.
Thanks,
Um,
Ma.
but yeah, um, it's just a weird thing in this apartment where like it's a random outlet on the wall right
It's come to
here.
find you.
Yeah, it's like it's
Like, quit
most
staring at me.
come on now. It's the it's the most poorly placed outlet of all time, like all the way up there. Like, what are you doing?
Right. What are you
Uh,
plugging there?
yeah, like we have which Cheyenne has like a record player over here that we have plugged
Uh-huh.
in, and we play the radio for the dog when we leave.
Hmm.
So that's what we plug in there. But other than that, it's just like there's a random outlet, like right
Right.
here. And I'm like, you are completely CBing my shot right now. I keep like trying to block it.
Well, luckily, the people
um,
who are listening either on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, they won't have to
yo,
worry. It's just more of the fact that, like, okay, cool. we can just kind of describe what we're doing. But
Sorry,
yeah,
I I pushed something on my earbud and it started playing like my one YouTube song. So I apologize for that
oh no,
audio
we didn't hear anything,
interference.
so it's good.
All right, we're good. What
Yeah,
did
we didn't
we
hear. I didn't even hear anything, so you're good.
okay. What do we not touch base on? The
We
music
wanted
stuff.
to music stuff. Yes, we wanted to kind of go back off of a little bit of the music stuff we were talking about last time because we had to cut it short a little bit.
Yeah, because
So
I
what we
wasn't
were talking about last episode was certain music that was nostalgic. Drink that was nostalgic to our younger years. That I mean, we still kind of listen to, but it was like something that was more nostalgic. That was like a moment in our younger years. That was like that moment. That music brings us back to that nostalgic moment or a time in our younger life.
Yeah, I mean, do you have anything specifically off the top of your head? Because I will dive
I'm trying
into
to
the
think
day.
of what I mean, I talked Linkin Park, we talked Limp Bizkit last time, and I was trying to think of some other tunes um after we went off air or throughout the week. I was thinking like, oh, what are some other things that uh I probably thought of. There was a lot of Linkin Park and uh you know I think a Trey. There's a lot of different like things that like either like relationships wise that like a song from a certain band that I was listening to at that moment, and every time I listen to it, it brings me back to that moment, whether it be a good or bad thing. But um, I probably say like City of Evil from Avenged Sevenfold. Listening to that the first time, I think when you brought me into listening to that CD the first time, I'm like, whoa, who are these guys? Like the
Hmm.
guitar harmonies and all the guitar work. I'm like, I've never heard this before, and then they just blew up. And you know, other than that, I mean, I can't really think of too many other influential things because I mean there's so much music that I listen to, but you know especially things in my younger years. I think listening to a lot of like the Limp Bizkit, Linkin Park, and a lot of the alternative rock bands of like the 90s and early 2000s were a lot of my younger year categories that I did.
So,
I know you wanted to get into a couple things with some
yeah,
music that you weren't able to touch on. So, I mean, if you wanted to go into that, yeah.
I'm gonna jog some of your wheels real quick. Okay, so, um, we got these glasses. They were like souvenir glasses when we went to prom, senior prom.
Okay.
And they had there was like writing on the glass, and it was like the lyrics from the song that basically, um, it was like the song that was like our, I don't know, it was supposed to like resemble our senior year kind of thing.
Uh huh.
Um, Eve 6,
Yes.
Here's to
Here's
the
to the
night.
nights. Yep.
That's the one.
That's another good song.
That's the
I do
one.
like that song. Yep.
And I haven't heard that tune in years. And I don't even know how that just popped in my head. I was trying to put myself into my senior year and say, um, what music makes me feel that way, like about graduation, right?
Mm.
And
And
that's
another
easy.
song just popped into my head, but I'll get it to it after we talk about this.
Yeah, I mean, and no, I mean that's just like when I think senior year, that just popped in my
Yeah,
head,
that song just kind
and
of, you know, that was one of the topper songs of that year too.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. actually just bringing that song up, I think that just summarizes our whole senior year. You know,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
whoever thought of that song, that was definitely a good pick. Because just talking about nostalgia, the meaning, here's to the nights, you know, because you think senior
We
prom.
felt alive. Yeah.
Yeah, because you know you're gonna be, you know, this is probably one of the last times you're gonna be seeing everybody in this whole room together having a good time. You know, because we were graduating in what, a month or two. It was
A
April,
month.
and then yeah, so yeah, like a month or
Senior prom
two.
was May. Yeah.
Yeah, so literally like a month later, we're gonna be out of there. We're done, and you know, so it's one of the last times, you know, to be almost seeing everybody in the same room together until everybody, you know, starts going their separate ways. So, uh, yeah, just I'll have to go back and listen to the song myself, and it'll probably definitely pull back a whole bunch of memories.
I haven't heard it in years. It's
Yeah,
weird because like something like that is such a good song. Um, I haven't heard it on the radio at all.
no, I don't hear much of Eve Six unless you're probably on Sirius Radio and it probably just pops in like one of those '90s alternative rock stations or something. But yeah, I haven't heard. I'm not sure. I don't think Eve Six really does anything anymore. I haven't even heard anything from them.
Yeah,
I'm not
not
sure
that
if
I
they're a
know of.
band anymore. Uh,
Ah,
but
maybe, maybe not.
yeah, that was a good song. That definitely brought back. So that was a good pick.
Yeah, so I mean, I am like running down the list of the years following that. So that was 2005, 2006. I was 19, freshman in college. My final year competing with dance. So In Your Eyes would be my 2006 song. Um, I did compete it in 2005, but I carried it into that next year also because I couldn't let it go. Um, 2007 was the year that I wasn't competing, and then um, I was released from the studio that I grew up at, and simultaneously opening uh, my family studio. Um,
Uh huh.
so I didn't have a piece that I was performing that year. But I remember we held our auditions like that August, and the Timbaland Shock Value album had just come out. So
Hmm.
we're talking The Way I Are. And that
Hmm.
was like that album probably speaks to that year. 2008 easily feels like Tonight by Daughtry. Um,
Uh huh.
2000, 2009. Uh, I mean, I know the
It's hard. It's
song
hard.
that,
It's hard to think the certain things like when it's like right on the tip of your tongue, and you're like, God, I can't think of it.
yeah, no, I know the song that pops into my head because it was our comp team's best routine that year. They did, oh God, what is this song? We called it Your House.
Hmm.
Uh, we had a couch. Uh,
If you want, while you're looking for it, I'll tell you the
I
song that just popped into my head.
Yeah, go for it. I mean,
So
I'll Google. Go ahead.
yeah, so the band Stained, from the
Hmm.
Break the Cycle album, they had a song called Epiphany, and it's that song. Every time it just came up in my news feed tonight, and it was on my mind a couple days ago. And then it's just funny how Facebook is always watching us. But but it just came up in my news feed, the music video, and I was like, wow. And later in the years, I was watching when Aaron Lewis was doing a lot of acoustic appearances, and I mean, he was not doing any Stain stuff. He was just doing a lot of his acoustic appearances. He later told people that Epiphany was a song about him having attention deficit disorder. And then I went back to look at the lyrics, and I'm like, wow, that makes so much more sense now. I mean, when you don't even really know the meaning of a song, but like when you have words that just kind of, come out and you're like, wow, this has some type of meaning, but it hits different. Like I didn't know the meaning. I had no clue that it had something to do with attention deficit disorder, but you can definitely feel what he was feeling in that song. But the lyrics are in there, saying, your words to me are such a whisper, your face is so unclear. I try to pay attention, your words just disappear. So, and as he's singing it, he's trying to be like, see, I try to pay attention. Your words just disappear because I can't pay attention. I mean, I'm usually just looking at you, but I'm not comprehending what you're saying. So I'm like, wow, that it's like a light bulb and like a mind blown fact. Like years after, because I used to love listening to the song, but it put me into a different aspect of the song now that now that you know the actual meaning of what the song is about, and you have a new love for it. So it's definitely a song off that. I mean, I love that full album, but I think that song on that album definitely is like one of my favorite songs from that Aaron has definitely ever written.
Dude, I am so excited that you just mentioned that. Okay, so I was going from my senior year and forward, and you're taking me back because we're gonna go back to when I was a sophomore or junior in high school, and uh, it was I fell in love with dancing all over again because music hit me. It impacted me in a way. Like that song is the third song that I heard and I sobbed.
Yeah.
I lost my emotions. I was gone.
Yeah. I agree with you on that. Like that's one of the songs that when I heard it, I just got lost in the song. There's not many songs that I had that you just get lost in, like and it's not even just the lyrics. It's just how the like the vibe of the song. You just get lost in it. If you guys have never heard this song, the only time we'll probably tell you to stop. The only time we'll probably tell you to stop watching this right now. Go to YouTube, type in "Stained Epiphany." Thank us later. Awesome song. I mean, if you're into that type of stuff, it's more of like a ballad type song. But if you read the lyrics and get into the zone of what the song's trying to say, it's awesome.
Yeah.
And if you're a Stains fan, you guys probably already know. It's an awesome song.
Yeah. I mean, my first song that really triggered me to like cry, Only God Knows Why by Kid Rock. It's so weird because I'm not a country guy, like at
Me
all.
either. No.
He just has like that vibe behind him. And I think that it's something about the roller coaster of the sound that he takes you through. Like he's very like baritone early on. I hope that's the right word. I'm not effing this up.
Yeah, I mean he definitely has more of a lower. He doesn't really have a high register. He's more like the baritone. It's baritone, and then he's not tenor. Tenor's like alto, not soprano. So it's baritone, alto type voice. He's almost got like somewhat of similar like range as me. Well, I'm not a soprano, but I'm like in between like a baritone alto type person.
I
I'm
think
I'm
that
not a high register person, but yeah.
I think that like the guitar lick coming in on the intro is very gentle, and then the first verse he's just very sincere and just
Uh
straightforward. And then
sincere because he's sitting here.
oh, Jesus,
Oh
okay.
Jesus, okay.
No, but
I had to do it to him.
I had to do it to him. Um, oh God, after that first verse finishes and the guitar lick is so like blues
Dude, the
almost.
solo in that song, I told you before, I didn't now that I had more of a appreciation for music theory, going back and because I told you that time that somebody requested that song during one of my gigs, and I totally botched the hell out of that. And then I totally botched the hell out of it. And then I went back and looked at it because I'm like, I want to get this song down because it's a great song. And I listened to the solo and I'm like, I totally looked over this solo. This is an awesome blues
Awesome.
solo. And
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
anybody that is a musician or knows music, the simplest like pentatonic licks in there, right from like your first, second, and I think fifth. But it's a little bit of all of the pentatonic scale, but it's like the simplest solo. But here's the thing, and something my dad always tells me: it's not how many notes you play; it's the notes, it's the ones you hit that make the solo. Like it when you're saying in the melody of the song, that's what makes a solo. It doesn't necessarily always matter how fast you play or how many notes you can play fast in a solo. It's the matter of what notes you pick in that solo. And I think the notes and the way that solo is constructed just hits. And I mean, it has the bluesy vibe, and yeah, I had to learn it, and it didn't take me too long to kind of just learn it by ear. But great blues, you know, and that's the thing. Like with Kid Rock, he was able to take that country, slow, hip hoppy, but then put like a blues lick in there. So he was genre hopping a lot in that song.
I mean, and that's not everybody can do that, right?
Yeah.
Like we talk about Limp Bizkit and we talk about like how Fred tried to like change his
Uh
sorry y'all.
huh.
Timestamp 122. Okay. 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 Whoopsie. But like I was telling Cheyenne, like you and I were watching Limp Bizkit, what was it, Lollapalooza Chicago?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we were like, oh my God, Fred still has it.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about bands that are like coming out with new stuff now. I
Right.
think she was talking about Simple Plan, and she mentioned Simple
Mhm.
Plan, and I thought she was talking about Sum 41, and I was like, that's weird.
Dude,
um,
they came out with the album a year or two ago. So they did put out new music within the last year or two. I haven't listened
mhm.
to it, but yeah, I mean there have definitely been some bands that have either reformed or haven't had an album out in a lot of years, and they just got something out. So we're definitely getting a lot of people,
Coming
you
out of the
know,
woodwork. Yeah.
and just be like, hey, we're making a new album. And I'm like, oh, awesome. But it's fun when a band is able to experiment and make every album different, but then on the same page when fans are always like, you're never going to be as good as this album here, like for A Day to Remember. everybody always goes off of For Those Who Have Heart, or maybe it was a lot of the older A Day to Remember stuff everybody loves. But the stuff that they're coming out with now sounds nothing like it. They're not as heavy. They're more on the pop punk, mainstream side. Their new album is growing on me. It's definitely not, because they definitely have like, their influence of like, you know, pop punk, but then also having, crazy heavy breakdowns in their songs. So they were meshing those type of things, and that's what got them their sound. But now, when they start going more into the pop punk, poppier side, a lot of people are always like, "Where's the breakdown? Where's the heavier stuff?" And I understand, because the guys are getting older now. They have some of them have kids. They're in different times in their life, and maybe they want to experiment. I mean, I'm all for bands experimenting, and instead of always writing the same album every time, or at least trying to make not and like bands that kind of stick into their own genre and not try to expand, like what else can we do with this, or like, okay, we're only this, we can only do this. Like, I mean, you're musicians, you're able to be creative, but there's always going to be fans that are always like, well, no, we just want you to do this. And like, well, we will do this, but we also have to be experimental too, because we got to get our other things out. And that's when you have like guys that do like, okay, well, if I can't do it in this band, then I got to do a side project, because I got to get this part out of me.
And that's why it's such a fine line, like committing to what you're known for and what you're great at versus not being stale.
Right. I mean, does that happen in dance to a point too? Like, I guess you could say, like, if you're a hip hop person, but you grew up doing, lyrical stuff, but then, you can kind of mesh things together, but you can experiment. But then if people are, you're known for being this specific type of dancer, but you have so many different types of styles under your belt, but you're more known for this one type of style that kind of blew you up in a way. And then when people kind of start seeing that you're trying to veer off and be like, okay, I could do these things too, but then like, no, we just want you to do this. Like, does that kind of happen in dance a little bit too, or am I kind of going off the left field?
You're you're not going off the left field. It's just a matter of like, we're almost an hour and a half into this podcast, and I can talk about this forever.
Yeah.
But to like sum it up, okay?
Yeah.
I think I talked about this on
and we
one
can
of the
probably do
earlier
this on another.
episodes.
We can probably this can segue into next week episode. We can start off with this, yeah.
And
or
that's fine.
We can go more into we can go more into detail.
And real quick, if I can, and I know that I can, you said something about your dad talking to you about, it's not always about how fast he can play. It's just a matter of how you play.
Yes.
Okay. Right. So I need to like really digest that, because a lot of the times with my hip hop projects, I try to be quick. I try to be fast, and I'm kind of like, we got to hustle, we got to move.
Yeah.
We got to go.
Yes.
And some of the times it works, and I also have I have a couple projects right now where I'm like, I gotta find a way to like dial back, because this is just too busy. It's just a lot for the audience to digest. Now the music is busy too. So
yes,
the musicality's there, but it's also like, can you be effective visually by doing less rather than trying to do a lot.
Yeah. And that's another thing with soloing, which I'm trying to learn, which I have like how you were just saying, like I tend to do like a lot, but then I'm like, they say, you know, it's good to, you know, be fast, like being fast fingers, blah, blah, blah. But there's also a technique, like learn how, when not to play. Because when you learn when not to play and when you're playing at the right moments, that makes your soloing that much better too. So it's like you don't have to be playing every measure, everything. Like, you know, take take 2 beats or a 4 beat count to not play and then come in on that one, you know, kind of stylistic in a stylistic form. So it's like, you know, those are certain things I'm trying to learn being a better soloist, a guitar solo player, and you know,
it's
certain things that, and being playing in the melody instead of just always improvising.
it's like, oh my God, I love this podcast, by the way. One set pod at gmail.com. If you have any feedback for us, I just want to talk about how we were at graduation practice. I might have talked about this. I don't think I did here
I
though.
don't think so.
And I'm sitting across the aisle from my now brother-in-law, and because our last names were the same, except his last name had the E on the end. I think I can say that, and we're good.
Yeah.
But he looked over to me across like the way and was like, "You like Coldplay?" I was like, "They're all right." He's like, "What do you mean they're all right? They're freaking awesome." I was like,
Yeah.
"All right."
Okay.
More importantly, well, it's just funny because I now, and since then, not because of him specifically, but I have a newfound appreciation for Coldplay.
Right.
But he's taken Kim to see Dave Matthews Band,
Oh,
and
nice.
Cheyenne is such a huge fan of Dave Matthews Band. And I listened to him play the Watchtower cover by Jimmy. And talk about the dynamic and pacing.
Mm-hmm.
Like
And again, not many people get that.
He had such a way of just being relaxed and making you feel euphoric, and then out of nowhere just being like boom. And then the ending of that song is just like the climax to it is just like, she told me that was like their encore when she saw them live. And I was like, what? I'm not even a Dave fan like on that level. But
and I was gonna say I was never a Dave fan, but I can appreciate him as a musician. But I was never much of a fan to be like, oh, I gotta go see Dave Matthews Band. Like I was never too much of a nostalgic fan to do that. But I can appreciate, you know, since I do a lot more covers now, you know, I do the space between. And you know, I always kind of liked, you know, a lot of his more '90s stuff, but I think I did see that Watchtower cover before, and but like you were saying with like the dynamics and you know, I think that's what makes a musician from an amateur to a pro, being able to, you know, learn those dynamics, when to play, when not to play, when to show your emotion, how to bring it out from, you know, your instrument and portray it out to the crowd. That's what separates, you know, the pros from the amateurs. And some people don't get to that level. Some people, you know, get it. Some people don't. And some people go chasing it for years to learn it. but and then some people are just gifted and they just get it right off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, sorry.
I almost forgot to do the same thing before.
The chart. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I can't believe we're still on because we were like, let's run
Let's see how this goes.
Nah, we're good. I think yeah, sorry for the CB pause.
Nah, it's all good.
Everybody.
But if you guys have watched up to this point, please throw those number 1 emojis in the comment sections. And you can't comment on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, but if you want to God, here.
There you go.
If you want to leave a review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and or on Anchor, if you can comment on one of those with a comment, throw the number 1 emoji up there for us. And, give us a follow on Facebook, Instagram, and, we love the support. We're glad everybody continues to support us. And, we can see our listeners growing every week. We're not doing any, paid promotions or any type of, advanced advertising for this. We're mainly just throwing these episodes up and, just doing some organic promotions. So we appreciate all the shares and anybody who checks us out. We're glad that you guys continue to take a ride on this journey with us, and you guys are certainly becoming One Set fans, and we appreciate you guys. Hey, there's Doggy.
Hey, boo.
Hey, boo.
Hey, boo. Say hi to the One Set audience. Hey, Chimon.
Say hi to the little One Set dog. Say hi to the One Set mascot.
Right, boo. He's a good boy. Oh, shoot.
Aw.
He's a good boy, right? Who doesn't love a good boy? A good dog. Speaking of, yeah, bub, you're all right. Come on. You can stay here with me if you want. Just wanted to commend, because I know I talked about our moms for a second earlier and said, shout out.
Uh-huh.
We love you. Both dearly. I just had a really great moment with my dad where he it's not all the time, and I feel like dads are like they're trying to be tough on us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially your dad. I mean, God, he has been.
We definitely have 2 old school dads that come from, times in a life where, what's the word? Not many words were said from fathers back then, but the actions from what they did showed more than what their words did. Putting food on the table, doing the going to work, providing for the families, and so setting examples that would later people would be later seen. So not many words being, not word, it's more like their actions being put before their words.
Yeah, I mean, I always looked at your dad as just very similar to my dad, like a lot, because when I was a kid and I come over to your house, your mom would always be there. I mean, she's beating you guys with the freaking hand towel. Sorry, Burn. But it was very much like, that was acceptable. It wasn't backhanding your children. I mean, she was
No.
just laying into you guys with like a towel, which is fine. And then she's giving me a small slap after the fact.
Hey, you ain't gonna do that again now, don't you?
I'm like, I guess not. I want to come over again because my house sucks sometimes.
But by then again, then I would be going to your house, and then we'd be wrestling, and now I'd be coming home with bruises. Like, what did you do at Jin's house? Like, oh, we're just wrestling. I'm like, did you fight back? Like, like, yeah. Like, well, geez, you look like you just had a fight.
Well,
Because we're
thing
watching
is
wrestling, but like all those times.
yeah. The thing is I'm like hitting the pedigree on you on my couch, but your head's slamming into like the
And I'm
frame.
like, okay. My nose is bleeding.
Goodness.
It's fine.
No, but just dialing back, it's pretty cool having those moments where our dads like acknowledge that they're proud of us.
Yeah.
And I definitely had a couple moments like that with my dad this past weekend, and I don't know. It's hard because my dad grew up on a farm.
Mm-hmm.
He's been working his
Whoopsie.
off.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yep. Where we at? 140. But he's been working himself because I mean that's what his dad taught him.
Yeah.
Be a hard worker. And that's that old school mentality of like, as long as you work hard, like, who's gonna step up to you? Who's gonna tell you that you ain't, you know what?
My dad always taught me, because like you were saying, he hard worker, and he said, if you when you grow up, you'll learn, when you make your own money, nobody can tell you what to do with your own money.
That's it.
You know, you go out there and you earn it, and when you make your own money, nobody can tell you what to do with your own money.
That's it.
You know? So
I mean,
just like
my
you were
dad
saying,
has basically been doing the same thing. And he's like, I mean, he came home with a motorcycle one day. He was like, check this out. I earned that. And it's because he did. And like, my mom could have said whatever she wanted about it, but he was just like, I'm not taking it back. I'm not returning it.
Right.
I mean,
My dad was the same way with cars. Like he ended up getting, a Mercedes, and me and my brother like, oh my god, he's got a Mercedes. But then my mom's looking,
oh
like,
my god, we gotta get out of
here. we gotta go. See you next week. And she's like, oh my god, he got a Mercedes. While my mom's like, you got a Mercedes? Like,
and your dad was like, yeah, I did.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think he's on his like fourth one by now, because unfortunate things have happened with him getting a Mercedes. I don't want to be putting his business out there, but
yeah, no, and you don't have to.
He's had luck, but bad luck with Mercedes cars as well. But that's another thing with it. Like, when you've earned your own money, you can do what you want. You don't have to have people saying like, oh, well, don't do this with like, I could do what I want because it's money I've earned.
Yep.
And if I want to go spend it, I can spend it the way I want, and he's always been a guy that has been good with it, like at least teaching me and my brother good morals with our money, on how to, like, different ways to, like, either invest it, saving it, doing a lot of different things with your money instead of just being like, oh, when you get it, just spend it. He's
Mhm.
always instilled things that he's learned over his years, and he's like, this is something I wish I would have known when I was your age. So I'm telling you to do this now so you don't make the same F ups that I did when I was younger. So, and having those type of moments where, learning from years and years of not knowing and then realizing, and then, teaching your kids, like, okay, you know, don't make the mistakes I did, go and, put in a, life insurance plan and do it before you're this age, because if you don't, you never know. And it's to the point where me and my brother have kids now, and it's like he's always thinking of like those next couple years, because he's like, now that you have certain responsibilities, you want to make sure that certain people are taken care of. And he's like, these are certain things that I wish I would have known when I was, your age, and that I didn't have available, you know. So,
Right.
you got to give it up to both our dads, and they definitely come from the same playing fields.
Yeah, I just I mean, even just going fishing with you and Chris and your dad uh in New
Over the
Jersey
summer, yeah.
over the summer,
Uh-huh.
um I could tell how excited that your dad was to just
He
be
just loves getting out there.
well, to just be in the company of his boys.
Oh yeah.
I'm not
Oh
even
yeah.
talking about myself. I'm talking about you and Chris specifically.
Oh no, no,
Um,
yeah, yeah, I know what you meant. Yeah. And with him being a workaholic, he's never not like I can never say like he was a workaholic, but I never had time to hang out with my dad. Like he was there. He never missed a chance to hang out with us. I mean, I
and that's
he was definitely, a dad that didn't not like missing things for
mhm.
us. I mean, and the fact, I mean, he he was our coach for basketball. He was, always, right there with me for music. And like you said, you were hanging out with your dad this weekend, where I was hanging out with my dad as well. He came out and, rode with me to my show this past Saturday. And, we always get
Oh,
to,
I didn't know he
talk
went with you.
music.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, he did. So, I always take like his opinions very serious with, how I'm sound, because whenever he's there, he's my sound guy. Like when I'm like, hey, how's everything sounding? Do I need to turn this up? Do I need to lower that? Because yeah, I can't ask my mom or Jen. Like they're like, it sounds good. I mean, but I know I'm gonna get the more musician aspect from my dad.
Right.
But
Right.
when me and my dad can just kind of go and hang out, I can talk to him, and we talk music and stuff, and you know,
Mhm.
and just like you had, like just looking out, and he was talking to one of his buddies before I started playing, and he's saying, yeah, little Anthony's Anthony Jr. Saying he's up here at Harleysville playing a gig, doing this and doing that. And you can just kind of tell he's like, proud to tell people like, yeah, my son's playing gigs, playing music and everything. So it's cool to kind of, see him, having those moments of like telling, his friends and people, and I was showing him, oh, this is where I'm doing my live feed stuff. And he's like, well, share me the link so I can share it out to family. He was trying to, share it out to, his family, extended family, to get them to watch me play and everything. So, knowing that he came from music, and knowing that I picked that up from him, I think that definitely gives him a good, nostalgic feeling that, that I'm actually, trying to, and, music is definitely something big in my life. And I think that he holds, a lot of good intentions with that he's glad that music means a good part in my life. And we had fishing as well to really go out, because he's the guy that taught me a lot, because he was a Boy Scout when he was younger. So he's he's the one that taught me how to really, you know approach myself in the woods. Like when we were at the Valley Creek that one time, you asked me, I'm like, you asked me saying like, how do you know these places? How do you know how to navigate through these places? I gotta give, because my dad taught me a lot of that stuff. When we were boys, just going through the Springton Lake Reservoir, just walking through the woods and everything. He would be teaching us little things of like, doing all these things, and you know those little things you like. And I'm thinking of these things now. It's like, little things that I would like to hope to teach my son eventually, going out into the woods, and how to like present yourself, and how to make sure you're taking precautions and everything. And you know so it's cool that I can kind of have those teachings, and be able to hopefully extend that out to my son now. So
Yeah. All things that you want to pass down, man. I mean, like thinking back on my dad, like, oh my goodness. When I was playing Little League, there was this time where the ball got hit and it came at my dad's face, and my dad palmed it, and it bounced all the way back to like the infield. And everyone just looked at him and was like, oh my God. He's like, yeah, I just did that. And I looked at my dad, I was like, I just want to be you. Like, teach me. Like,
right.
in that moment,
Teach
I was
me.
like, teach me. Yeah.
Teach
Between
me.
that and him taking me to like karate, because there came a time where I took karate like out in Westchester, and he used to take me Saturday mornings, and that was like our time, like where I could tell he was like, okay, well, my son's doing geez, can I say this in 2022? Like a masculine thing, like a karate thing. But then he knew how invested I was with the dancing. And then for him to like dig into his 401k to help the studio stay alive as many times as he did, it was because he trusted my vision. And I'll never be able to repay him for that, you know?
Yeah.
But, even the conversation we just had this past weekend, where he said, no matter what it is that you do, if you teach dance, if you teach math, you have a gift. Like, for him to say that, I was like, all right, my dad is
reassurance,
Yeah. Validation, for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure.
And that's awesome.
Yeah.
And like I told you, man, it's like, you wouldn't be going through all this hardship and, going through everything that you've been through if you did not like dance. It's the same thing with music. Like I wouldn't be putting these amount of hours and money into a lot of this stuff if I didn't like if I didn't like playing music.
Right.
If I didn't have music, I mean, other than, being married and having a son, I mean, I'd be miserable because I know I'd miss, like, I love performing. I love
Right.
writing music at this point. And it's the same thing for you. Like, if you didn't have dance, it'd be like a hole missing in your life, because I know you love performing, you love teaching, and I'm not even sure which one kind of, falls, or, I mean, you love just teaching it to people, and teaching them what you have already learned, you know, to kind of just show them like, this is, where I'm at, and this is my vision. I want you to see where I'm coming from. And that's like a cool thing that, even I can't even, fathom being able to, I've had some people that I've given some wisdom, I guess you can quote unquote wisdom with, for music. Like I always like, I guess I can kind of say I always like giving back to the people that are starting out playing live music.
It's always
And
about giving back. It's always
so
about
it's
giving
like,
back.
giving back,
Right?
and the people that I know are just starting out, and I mean, I have about 15 plus years under my belt of playing live music. So I have a little bit of, experience to know, okay, the do's and don'ts and, you know, how to kind of really get yourself out there, so I enjoy kind of helping the small people out because I know we've all been there. I mean, and I still struggle with, the things that I struggle with. But, if you, I mean, I would always say, like, I wish I had people telling me what, giving me little bits of advice, but, sometimes you just have to work it out for yourself. But it's good to kind of come past people that have had that experience and you can, get some insights from people, so.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, we talked earlier about like not having to get into all of the years with the music.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I have plenty. I can do it. I mean,
Uh-huh.
oh God. I have them lined up in my brain. But I think that um we touched on a few of them earlier and we can just run with those for right now.
Yeah.
And then
I I mean,
we can
I
let
think
the
we're
others
running into,
trickle.
like, yeah.
We can let the others trickle on into future episodes. Look,
Mhm.
follow us on Facebook, One Set. Uh, reach out to us. Gmail, the number one, setpod@gmail.com. The number one. And then follow us on Instagram as well. One Set Pod, right? And
Yes. And,
okay.
make sure to get those, one set times tables in, guys. Be able to get a $50 Visa card from your boys.
From your boys. All right. We got to get out of here. This is almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
This is our
Almost a
longest
2 hour.
episode.
This is definitely our longest episode where I don't think we necessarily need to cut anything out. We're actually pretty good. But, yeah, definitely our longest one.
That's fine. Unapologetically. Did I say that right? I think I did.
You said it right, yeah.
Y'all, if you don't like all this content, you can fast forward all you want. Or don't. Um, again, shout out to our parents. I wanted to just send them a shout out today.
We love you guys.
We love you because we know that you're tuning in. Thank yous both. All four of you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We love you.
We wouldn't be here without you guys.
We certainly wouldn't. Our listeners, thank you. Until next time. And anything you want to say?
I think you hit it on the nail, man. Thank you for all the listeners and supporters. Uh, you know, this has been another episode of One Set, and we will see you guys on the next episode. Thank you guys, and have a great weekend.